So before we get into the products themselves, I mean, let's talk about, you're in the midst of a very large size business transaction that potentially it comes through, you've got a national footprint, you've got a lot of households, you've got a fairly substantial chunk of the US sort of install base of subscribers. I mean, what is that feels transformational. Like, what does that mean for your business looking forward?
You know, I think it will be, and I can't, you know, I have to limit my comments, obviously. The deal is pending right now. You know, I can probably speak to as much as what's in the press right now, but it has to go through the proper channels, proper process. I think that AT&T looks at things as far as with regard to acquisition or product or anything, is whether it's good for the customer or not. Is it going to, you know, is this going to add value to the customer? Is it going to help the customer experience? And I think in this case it will.
Okay, but let's get to the crux of the problem, right? Because I suspect you guys have some of the same business challenges that content owners and publishers go. I'm going to analogize this back to, because I think there's a very famous graph that I'm sure we've all seen and posted in our presentations, that is the print sales, right? And how they peak and drop off right about the time the tablet came out, right? And that fundamentally gets to not just necessarily migration of audience, but one of the challenges publishers have in this world of video and digital media as audiences migrate is productizing data. And we talked about this week, that as you know, the challenge is that as data, if you go from net to line, data, you know, becomes more valuable, your addressable audience is less. Does the increase of incremental CPM and lift, is that substantial enough to be able to make up for that gap? So, I mean, what is your perspective on the market right now? Is the buy side willing to pay for that data enough to make up for the less volume they're going to be buying as a result of it?
I think it's a balance. Ultimately, where does it fit into the media mix? And then ultimately, what are they paying against that versus what they're paying against contextual or addressable or any other product, or audience optimized product, or digital for that matter. Right now, I think that's a bit out of balance, right? But there's tons of confusion in the marketplace. Clients are confused. I think the agencies are confused. I think the vendors are confused, right? And we're all trying to figure it out. That's no slant on any of those key players within the role, but it's just it's an evolving process now. It's a great time to be in the business, and we're going to figure it out.
So, dovetailing sort of, you know, leading into your products and taking us through those, I mean, do you see data as a product, or is data as a value add ancillary product to your core business of advertising, driving subscribers, growth, et cetera?
You know, I would say more the latter. It's tricky for us, right? So we're an MVPD, right? You know, for us to be, we're not in the research business per se. So but we utilize data and research to help augment buys, to help sell media, to help hopefully agencies and their clients make better buys. So that's how I would kind of frame that up, because you know, just for us to be in the research business that's not our core business.
Agreed. I mean, I feel like, so let's go through your products before we sort of talk about them.
Sure.
So take us through their portfolio, please.
Yeah, I mean, we're an MVPD. We get 2 minutes an hour like any other MVPD on our Uverse platform. We have deals with our interconnect partners where they sell a portion of that inventory locally. We also sell full footprint. What we do is we kind of overlay our data. We look at a set-top box data on a behavioral basis, again, in a PII compliant way. And we look at attributes advertisers have. And then from there, we kind of look very much like addressable on the front end. But as we segment those audiences and we look at the data within those homes, we can index the programs, the day parts, the networks that they're watching, and then provide an optimized buy for the average. So that's called our TV Blueprint product, and it's been growing rapidly. I'd say one of the challenges we have with it right now is that it's not a line item for any you know, on the advertiser's buy per se. I think addressable is starting to, you know, so addressable is kind of the segue or a complement into that. And you know, I would just add on that I think that when you have a product like addressable advertising, and you have the trade press that really wants it, you have the advertisers that really want it, then it's going to happen. And that's what's happened with addressable.
So I want a couple points of clarity. One, you are not, although you have subscriber data, you're not delivering subscriber level matching. The idea of threshold is the set-top box level, it's the household level, to be really clear, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I think that's a uniform, huge differential between TV and video, just to kind of level set. So you talk about it not being a line item, and you know, price always goes down, not up, right? So if there isn't a perceived, because when you look at programmatic from the perspective of automation, you know, we talked about this when we met this week, right? You go on a DSP, a buy-side platform, you go through a buy, you start with a 3 million approachable audience, that's your net. You add, you know, a Nielsen segment, you add an intending segment, you add a couple other things, and then you add a household, you know, level income, and then you get to approachable audience of 27 people at a $97 CPM, right? So, but what you see in that process, because it's a step-by-step through a tool, right, a desk per se, is you see incrementally the lift in the CPM as a result of adding that level of data.
That's right.
You don't have, to your point, you don't have that line item in an upfront or a reserved television negotiation. So yeah, and you think it'll come? You think that we'll be able to get there, or do you think that the business model is going to end up at a steady state of you offering an enterprise level agreement of your data to let the actual targeting and addressability occur at the time of the ad call, and theoretically what the ad call is in linear or the schedule versus at the time of the upfront? Like, where do you think it's going to settle in?
I think time will tell on that one, and I think the marketplace has to settle. You make a really good point. I do think it will end up being a line item. I think all of these products work together. If you look at them as tools, right? Contextual is not going away. As much as probably digital says contextual advertising on television is going away, it's not going away. It's core to the media plan. Then you have these other tools, addressable advertising. Okay, well, let's focus in. We could do what we couldn't do 5 or 10 years ago. Now we can hone in and eliminate more waste. Now you have these audience optimization products that are out there using set-top box data, using really solid data, which is 10 times better than has been used in the past. So you're going to have age, gender, buying contextual, buying environment. Advertisers buy environment buy advertising for a lot of different reasons. I want to be in sports. It doesn't really matter what it costs. I want my brand aligned with sports. Now you have all of these other tools that can bring it in. That's why I think the media mix is changing.